Today, as I was driving to the tennis center, I came across a scene that completely paralyzed me. In the middle of the road, a little dog was shaking uncontrollably. His bones were so exposed that it was almost impossible not to feel a lump in my throat when I saw him. His fur, practically non-existent in several parts of his body, was covered in a crust of mange that dominated his skin, while his eyes were filled with a thick slime, barely allowing him to see what was around him. His appearance made it clear that he had been cruelly abandoned to his fate, as if his life had no value whatsoever. As I approached, I reached out my hand in an attempt to offer him some comfort, but the poor little dog cried, making a low, painful sound, as if he had never felt a touch that was not aggressive before. At that moment, I realized how much he was hurt, not only physically but also emotionally. He was completely fragile, and the fear in his eyes showed me that his trust in humans had been devastatingly shaken. I knew right then that I couldn't leave him behind. Without hesitation, I immediately took him to the vet. During the trip, the little dog barely moved, only trembling silently. When we arrived, the vet confirmed what I had already feared. His situation was critical. I discovered that he was a boy and, moved by the delicacy he still displayed, even in the midst of so much pain, I decided to name him Pearl. After all, even in such a deteriorated state, his essence shone in a way that touched me deeply. The tests revealed the severity of Parola's condition. He was infested with mange, covered in fleas and worms, and was also severely anemic. His body was extremely malnourished. The condition of his skin was so bad that the open wounds made him suffer with every movement. However, something extraordinary happened. Despite all the suffering he was going through, Parola still found the strength to wag his tail every now and then, and even let out small, fragile howls. That made a deep impression on me, because it showed that, even in the face of so much suffering, Parola's spirit remained intact. He was sweet, gentle, and, above all, a true warrior. That night, when we got home, I decided to give him a special bath, using coconut oil to try to alleviate the dryness and wounds on his skin. Every movement I made was extremely careful because Parola was still in an extremely fragile state. Even so, he was incredibly patient, as if he knew I was trying to help him. The coconut oil seemed to bring some relief, and for a brief moment, I felt him relax under my hands. 7 days had passed since the rescue, and, to my surprise, Parola was already showing visible signs of improvement. His face, previously so marked by wounds and mange, was beginning to heal. His recovery was happening quickly and miraculously. He proved to be an incredibly intelligent and affectionate little dog, increasingly showing his sweet and friendly personality. Even with all the adversity, Parola grew stronger every day, and it was clear to me that he would be a wonderful companion for someone in the future. During this time, I also treated an ulcer that Parola had on his eye. Initially, his vision was quite impaired, but with the right treatment, he began to see better. The mange, which had previously covered a large part of his body, began to disappear, and the worms were completely eliminated. Something even more exciting happened. His fur, which had previously been missing from several parts of his body, began to grow back, signaling that his body was responding well to the treatment. Parola was transforming, being reborn. As Parola regained his health, I took him for regular checkups at the vet. He underwent new tests, had therapeutic baths, and even got his first toy. It was exciting to see how much he was improving, not only physically but also emotionally. The puppy who, weeks before, could barely move, was now playing and showing curiosity about the world around him. On the 52nd day since his rescue, Parola had achieved an impressive victory. When I found him, he weighed just 4.5 kilos, practically skin and bones. Today, he has reached a healthy 15 kilos, something that seemed impossible when I first saw him. His transformation was visible in every detail. His fur grew back, his skin was practically healed, and the joy in his eyes was unmistakable. Parola had found a temporary home with a foster mother who showered him with the love and care he deserved. And then, the big day finally arrived. Parola was adopted by a family who decided to make him a permanent part of their lives. That puppy, who was discarded as if he was worthless, now had a home where he would be loved unconditionally. His journey, which began so tragically, had now become a story of love, care, and rebirth. Pearl's transformation from an abandoned puppy on the brink of death to a happy, healthy, and loved dog is a true miracle. He is now living the life he always deserved, surrounded by love and affection. The power of compassion and care completely transformed his life, and today Perola is a living example that, with love and dedication, it is possible to change even the most desperate situations.